Hi guys! We have a big holiday here in the USA, the last Monday in May. It's called Memorial Day. Do you know about it? Well, if not, you will learn about the holiday, you'll learn about the history, and also some of the things that Americans like to do to celebrate it. Now, like I said, you will be learning some things about American culture and about this holiday, but this is also a great video to test your listening comprehension to native English because I am a native speaker from the USA. So make sure you watch until the end so that you can test your comprehension with my quiz. So first off, what is Memorial Day? It's a day to remember those who have fought and have died for the United States of America. So we have several days like this where we recognize people who have fought for our country, and we have a huge respect for those who fight in our armed forces. Now, for a lot of Americans, it's not just about remembering those who have fought and have died for our freedom. It's also the unofficial start of summer. So the pools open up, the beaches open up, people have huge barbecues with their friends and families. They light off fireworks, and everybody is generally in a really happy mood because summer is coming. Now, actually, there are some people in the armed forces who have actually lobbied to change the day of Memorial Day to an earlier time in May because they don't like the fact that many Americans don't even acknowledge the people who have fallen on Memorial Day because they're so focused on the fact that summer is coming. So therefore, they're celebrating with barbecues and going to the beach and things like this and not even acknowledging those people who have fought and have died. Yeah, for the majority of Americans, it's a huge party time. But I do think it's really important to take some time and take some moments to really recognize those who have fought and died for us. Now, I really didn't know too much about the history of this holiday, so I thought I'd do a little digging. That means go searching to find out, what are the origins of this holiday? Why do we even celebrate it? Because honestly, we don't really have that many official holidays in the United States. We really don't. So I was just kind of curious, how did this whole thing start? And I found out some interesting things. The holiday of Memorial Day actually dates back to the Civil War. If you don't know what the Civil War was, it was a conflict in the United States of America where the north of the country was at war with the south of the country. The country almost split in two. And there were tons of casualties. In fact, we've been involved in a number of conflicts in our history, but this conflict claimed more lives than any other war in our history. So following the Civil War, our country established national cemeteries. And by the late 1860s, many cities and communities had started a tradition of going and decorating the graves of these fallen soldiers. In fact, it was called Decoration Day. Now, it's really unclear how this holiday of Memorial Day really started, but I did find out one really interesting story about one of the first Memorial Days in the country. Before I share with you this story, I have to explain something about the Civil War in case you don't know about it. Now, the Civil War happened for a couple of different reasons, but one of the main reasons was because of slavery. The southern states were primarily agricultural and received their income from agricultural means, and they had become quite dependent on slave labor. The northern states were more industrial. They had no need for slaves, and there were many people in the north who were starting to realize, hey, it's not right to own a human being. And so this fight started between the states who wanted slaves and the states that didn't. Now, towards the end of the Civil War, thousands of Union soldiers, those are the soldiers from the North, were put into prison camps in the South. And the conditions were so bad that many of them died from disease, and they were buried in these mass graves and were not given any proper burial. Now, just 3 weeks after the South surrendered, 1,000 ex-slaves came and marched on this site where so many of these Union soldiers had died. Now, members from the U.S. colored troops and also some white citizens joined them. They gave readings, they sang hymns, and they put flowers on the cemetery. The people had actually exhumed those mass graves and had buried the soldiers properly in a cemetery. And this happened on May the 1st. Now, in May of 1868, General John A. Logan, who was the leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, he called for a day of remembrance for later in the month, for May the 30th, for those people who had died during the Civil War. And at this time, he said every village, every city, every churchyard contains people who had died in the Civil War. For 100 years, this Memorial Day continued to be a tradition on May the 30th. Now, in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act to establish the last Monday in May as Memorial Day in order to give a 3-day weekend holiday for federal employees. Cities and towns across the United States hold parades on this day, and they incorporate military personnel into these parades. Some of the biggest parades happen in Washington, D.C., Chicago, and New York City. Now, some Americans visit cemeteries or memorials because many towns will hold special services on Memorial Day at memorials in the towns. Some people will wear a red poppy flower to remember. And this is kind of an interesting story too. During World War I, which happened from 1914 to 1918, there was a surgeon who was serving in Western Europe. And one day he noticed, after an incredibly bloody battle, that there were these red poppy flowers that bloomed on that battlefield. He was so struck with the symbolism of these red flowers blooming where so many people's blood had been shed that he wrote a poem about it. And so because of that, people will wear the red poppy to remember the dead. So the holiday originated in order to remember those who had fought and died during the Civil War, but now it's a day to remember all of those who have fought and died in all of the wars in the history of our country in order to help keep us free. So yes, Memorial Day is a day to remember, but on a less somber note, it really is a day to celebrate, to have fun, to have parties, and to get excited about the start of summer. So now it's time for the quiz. On the next slide, I will have some questions for you based on this video. All right, well, it's time to say goodbye. The best things that you can do to support me and to help me to keep making videos like this are to subscribe, to share, and also keep watching. So I'm going to give you some suggestions of other videos that you can watch so that you can keep learning English. Bye for now.